This could be us.
So back to what I was saying.
Could be us.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Weapon H All-in-One Podcast. As you can see, couldn't do it with Tanya this week. Had a lot of stuff going on, but I'm going to hold it down for this Wednesday, and she'll be returning on the next episode next Wednesday. So I'm going to get into the topic because during one of our posts, I had ended up getting some comments shot at us for, I don't know, it was just, it was about, she said something about a hairstyle. And the comment, someone came in as wise old people in here talking about what young people do. And, you know, I responded to it, like, she said it's weird. And I said, okay, well, what's weird? The weird thing is about maybe you mentioning that we're talking about young people when, in fact, that's not what it was. And she came back and said, no, she did say this is the style, this or that. So I said, look, I went back and I looked at it myself because I thought that maybe possibly I did miss something. So I went back, looked at it, and I saw like, no, she didn't say anything about young people, young style, or anything of that nature. So I presented, I gave it to her verbatim, and that's when she stopped responding. Instead of just saying, okay, well, my mistake, you know, let it slide and go on about it. But the reason I brought that up is because one thing I noticed lately, there's a lot of like, it's like a okay thing to just be disrespectful towards older people. And I don't, and you know me, I don't think I'm old. I probably never think I'm old, but I'm wondering, since when did it become cool to just like try to lambash and go back at the elders if they were trying to tell you something to help you with? I mean, back when I was coming up, you know, you didn't always agree with what the elders, you know, what the elders said, but you listen because one, the elders had a lot more experience. They've been around longer. They've seen a lot more. So you would think to be able to grasp some of that knowledge, and then you can use it towards your life and then better prepare yourself. And at the same time, I don't want to make it seem like it's just because some of the elders aren't, you know, listening to the youngins that well. And that's one thing I've always done. You have to listen to the youngins because it's a different world. You have different technologies. You have all these different things. They may be better at that. And you have, but the oldest may be better experienced. So I think it's best for us to be able to take from both sides. We take from the young, they take from us. Everybody learns from each other. That makes us stronger. I think that makes us better. So I'm really at ends with trying to figure out when did this start? And I would definitely love for you guys to get in the comments and kind of give me a little leeway, or as far as what you feel end up making this okay to be disrespectful towards elders or disrespectful towards the youth, where no one can listen to each other and build and make things a lot better. So get in there. Let me hear what you got to say. So today's topic is one that kind of goes on a lot. You know, we see it a lot. Sometimes it turns out good. Sometimes it turns out not so good. But we're going to talk about sex in the workplace. And I'm sure once Tanya gets back, she'll have a little 2 cents to put in about that one. So, but anyway, over the years, you know, you have different situations when you're at work. You see people doing all kind of mess. They sleeping together, they go out. And sometimes it can lead off to something real innocent. You just start out going out to a few lunches, dinners, breakfast, whatever it is, however your hours work. Go out to a few lunches, shoot the gift a little bit, and everything seemed kind of cool. Then you start feeling for this person a little bit. You start becoming a little bit more attractive. Now you're starting to go out more often, and you sit back and then things roll and it ends up becoming something. And you do see, I mean, you know, supposedly sex in the workplace is frowned on, and it's frowned on in the workplace, but you see a lot of times marriages, relationships, a lot of them started at the workplace. Now, to go into that, you also gonna have a whole lot now, because you have a lot of situations where, you talk about having sex in the workplace, where sometimes some people are able to keep it cool and keep it quiet. Then sometimes it becomes situations. So this is why it's frowned on in the workplace, but let's keep it honest, it happens all of the time. And it's going to continue to happen a whole lot because that's just the nature of the beast. Now, we have problems come in when the other person has somebody at home, whether the guy has somebody at home, the female may have somebody at home, and it's their quote unquote work husband, work wife, but it ends up becoming an actual workplace wife. It becomes a little bit more than just acting like, it's a work husband or work wife. So you want to, at the same time, you want to try to stop it, but at the same time, it's truly a difficult situation because you're spending 8 to 9 to 10 hours with a person all day. And sometimes it could work in the exact opposite, obviously. You could be around somebody and they get on your nerves so bad you don't want to be around them. But sometimes you end up knowing somebody, things click. All right, we're just going to slide out, go hang out for a little bit, have a little something to eat. But there's something to eat turns into a quick little hour stay. So you gotta, it can become a whole entire mess. So what do you guys think? Can you have sex in the workplace and keep it good, or is it something that should be rightfully frowned upon like it is in most of your bylaws or whatever the case may be for workplace etiquette? But me speaking, I've had a few. I mean, what can you say? I don't know too many people that didn't have some type of workplace fling, relationship, whatever you want to call it for the moment. But sometimes it does work good. Sometimes it can become a whole entire mess. And that's when jobs start getting lost. And some people are good enough where they'll go ahead and leave the job themselves. Because I've known people who met at work, they got into a relationship, some even got married, and one of the two, the spouse or the woman or the man, ends up leaving the job, going somewhere else, just to kind of keep it neutral. But then you also have people who continue to have an ongoing relationship and just try to keep it quiet. And I have to commend those. The people that do that, give you a round of applause, because for the most part, I would think that most people can pick up on it, but you do have some who are just very good. They act like nothing is going on. They speak like, hey, how you doing? And if sometimes they overdo it, where they really trying to ignore, like, why are they trying to ignore each other so much, to the point where you like, okay, they must have something because they're trying too hard to hide it. So it's a serious juggling act to try to pull that off. But some are good, but majority of the times, people end up finding out. Then you had a situation where you have some people find out, like, okay, well, she got it, I want to get a little bit of it, or he got her, I want to get some of that. And it just, when you do, you have to keep it to yourself. And even if people figure it out, you gotta still, pretty much play denial to the end. Because if once people start finding out about it, they're gonna use it. Chances are they're gonna use it against you. to the point where they're going to end up forcing one of you to leave anyway. Or now you're going to feel some certain kind of way because now you're thinking everybody's around you. Now you're becoming paranoid. It's really just, for the most part, it's really just not a good situation. And that's why they want to keep it out of the workplace. But again, like I said, it happens all the time. You can sit right up here and talk about it right now and say it's like, because you get to a job, workplace, they're going to show you the videos, or they're going to train. They're going to show you all the things about not to do. And one of those is workplace relationships, and they advise against it. They show you what can come of it, and da 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 da. And everybody is gung ho, but then sometimes the same day they were right at it, or the next day guys are trying to kick it, women are trying to kick it. So it's it's actually a comical thing. It's a bit hysterical, but it's something that goes on all the time. I don't care what kind of job you got. Whether it's, in my case, being a former athlete, you have people that work around it. I mean, you saw the Ime Udoka thing a few years ago. Not to want to bring that up, but it has a situation where you mess with staff members. You have it at a regular workplace. I don't care where you go. You can go to McDonald's and it's going to happen there. I don't care where you go. It does happen. Even though, and a lot of times the management will know, they know. I mean, even because if everybody else knows, they know, but they, for the most part, they'll try not to get involved in it. But if it becomes too obvious, then yeah, they're going to have to bring it up. And that's when you have the little meeting and they try to find out and you deny, or they want to end up letting one of you go. I mean, people have gotten fired because of a situation that they brought in, like, guy and, comes into the job and catches his wife with the quote unquote work husband, or the woman comes catch her husband with the quote unquote work wife, and they're doing all kind of stuff, and it gets real messy sometimes. So so it's best, you want to try to avoid that. But how many people that can that can easily avoid it? You'll find some. You will find some that can avoid it, but for the most part, everyone is not going to be able to stave off temptation. I mean, as long as you're not in a relationship, I'm saying, a relationship or married, but just single people coming into a workplace, you're going to meet somebody, they look nice, talk to them a little bit, and, things happen. But you have to, but it also depends on the kind of person you are. Because if you're there and you're focused, you're about your money, then, you can avoid those types of little, I don't want to say traps, but for lack of a better word right now, avoid those kind of traps. And if you're, focus on what you need to do, you'll get out of it. But if you're not, if it's just a job to you, and nothing wrong with being, just having different personalities in the workplace. But if not, then, you gotta be careful. Watch how you do it. But it's better to not be involved with it at all. But if you end up doing it, which a whole lot of people do, you got to keep the people out your business. 150, 200%. Keep people out of your business. That way, when it hits the fan, you can kind of get your way and slide your way up out of it. But when it's messy and everybody knows about it, it's kind of hard to, even get out of any situation, especially when you got outsiders coming in because they suspicious about something you've been doing at the workplace. And the number one rule, how you say it, don't shit where you eat, it applies there. It's best to just avoid it altogether. That's where you get your money at. You don't want to mess up your money over some fling. And even though sometimes people do have long-standing relationships and some even get married from it, when it gets to that point, that's when it's best to do with some of the people that I know. Move on to another job. One of them move on or get another position. I mean, but you typically don't want to be working with, directly under, or over somebody that you're in a relationship with, because it just causes problems. And especially, like, imagine you at home and y'all had an argument that day, especially if y'all spend a lot of time together. You have an argument, y'all mad at each other. Can you come to work and not let that show? Typically, most people cannot. If they're mad at them at home, they're going to be mad at them at work, and you're going to see people looking at them like, what? Why y'all mad at each other? We don't even have a project due today, so what's going on? And a lot of times that ends up being how people figure out what it is, that you are in something. So for us today, I just want to thank you guys. Again, reiterate down the end. What do you guys think about workplace relationships? Good, bad, or it kind of depends on the situation. So again, thank you guys for joining in. Weapon H All in One Podcast Wednesday edition. Normally with Tanya, but she'll be back next week. Also, still make sure hit those subscribe buttons, hit those likes. Make sure you're getting in those comments. Like I said, you guys have been doing great, enjoying the comments. So keep that up and keep building, because I see the views are getting up. So I definitely appreciate you guys. And we want to keep this thing going. So again, subscribe, follow, like, check us out, the previews on Instagram and Facebook. And until next time, see you guys again soon.
This could be us.
So back to what I was saying.
Could be us.